The death dumps, otherwise known as chemical trails, are being dropped and sprayed throughout the United States, in England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Europe, and I have personally seen them not only in the United States but in Mexico and Canada. Birds are dying around the world. Fish are dying by the hundreds of thousands around the world. This is genocide. This is poison. This is murder by the United Nations. This element within our society that's doing this must be stopped. I happen to know of 2 of the locations where the airplanes are that dump this crap on us. 4 of the planes are out of the Air National Guard, Lincoln, Nebraska, and the other planes are out of Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I personally have observed the planes that were standing still in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, at the Air National Guard. They have no markings on them. They're huge bomber-like airplanes with no markings. This is a crime against humanity, a crime against America, a crime against the citizens of this great country. They must be stopped. What is wrong with Congress? This has an effect on their population and their people and their friends and their relatives and themselves. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with the pilots who are flying these airplanes? They're dumping this crap, this poison, on their own families. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody in Congress has to step forward and stop it now.
Does the taxpayers have to pay for this?
Well, unfortunately, the American government, the U.S. government, supports all kinds of eugenics-type activities, and it's really sickening that our own government would be supporting programs and activities.
Are you talking about population control?
Yes, I am. Talking about death and illness.
So these are death dumps that they're dropping on us. Chemtrails, when I say that,
yes,
with aluminum oxide, strontium, barium,
yes.
sulfur hexafluorides, etc.
I've seen quite a bit of evidence that clearly there are programs to dump all these chemicals on us. Not quite sure what the purpose is yet.
The purpose is to kill us. In Nazi Germany they did this, and there was a Nuremberg trial. Should we not have another Nuremberg trial?
Well, that'd be a good idea if we could find somebody to actually prosecute these people. We need to have more Americans that understand what's going on so that there can be enough of an uprising to actually do that. Certainly they're doing it, and they are actually killing people and making them sick.
Well, it is genocide, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, it's infanticide, humanicide?
Absolutely. And again, it's government-sanctioned eugenics.
But we all have to pay for this, right?
Well, there's people that don't want to pay, and I would be one of them, would not want to pay to support some kind of immoral conduct or activity. The unfortunate thing is...
a lot of people say this is the thing to do. We've got to support our government, even if our government is Hitlerian.
Oh, well, I don't believe in that. But the fact of the matter is that if people would just look into the actual income tax laws, they'd find that most Americans aren't required to pay it in the first place.
So we're actually not required to pay for the killing of our own people.
That's right.
The global warming alarm is dressed up as science, but it's not science. It's propaganda.
There's no direct evidence which links 20th century global warming to anthropogenic greenhouse gases.
We're just being told lies. That's what it comes down to.
You can't say that CO2 will drive climate. It certainly never did in the past.
If the CO2 increases in the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas, then the temperature will go up. But the ice core record shows exactly the opposite. So the fundamental assumption, the most fundamental assumption of the whole theory of climate change due to humans is shown to be wrong.
The whole thing stinks.
Yeah, no, that's what's so funny about people that are out there going like, they're not doing chemtrails. It's like, well, okay, well, your house is next to mine, so you're breathing the same stuff. So, have fun with when your child gets a giant brain tumor, too.
They're bastards, man! Stop killing us! You can find thousands of mainstream government university programs where they spray the clouds and seed the clouds, and where they're terraforming the planet, changing its atmosphere. I believe the way they're hyping global warming, that they know they're even changing jet streams now, that they are going to alter the weather, they're going to create tsunamis, which is declassified they can do, that they are going to create calamities, and that's why people keep saying, oh, they've been disproven, global warming, the Earth's cooling. Oh, it's been proven that yeah, they're cooling. That's what the science shows they're doing, and then it's going to cause calamities, and everybody's going to beg them to save them. Department of Energy testing idea to shoot particles into the sky to fight global warming. CNS News. Government scientists are studying the feasibility of sending nearly, I've been telling lots of them for 6 months to a story on this. We posted the articles, the atmospheric spraying, how it's all admitted. But I'm glad CNS finally put it together and broke it. Nearly microscopic particles have specially made glass into the Earth's upper atmosphere to try to dampen the effects of global warming. The idea, while interesting, said one leading global warming skeptic, is not practical, and if done on a large scale, could depress the ozone layer and cause other problems. That's what they're doing. They're destroying the atmosphere. Now, this is mainstream news. They have links to all the documents. The Department of Energy has released the information. They have Paul Crutzen, who won the Nobel Prize in '95, is involved in the program. And they dump large quantities of sulfur particles into the far reaches of the stratosphere to cool down the atmosphere. And then they go on, if you read the actual documents, barium salts, aluminum oxide, and of course we have links to all the documents at universities. They're everywhere. This didn't happen until '96. They're even playing God. And that's just the atmospheric manipulation. There's tens of thousands of declassified examples of spraying chemicals, biologicals, and radiologicals on us. Of them, Endgame covers this. How they mainstream admitted, march U.S. troops into chambers, hit them with nerve gas, and dissect their bodies. Young volunteer sergeants, they don't even tell them what it is. They go, oh, we're just going to test a flu bug on you. You're going to get 3 days off after you're sick. Will you do this for your country? Yeah. They march them in, nerve gas them, and it's over. They tell their family they died of the flu. That's who you work for, police and military. This is who you work for. They're going to kill you, cops. After they're done using you, it's all over, man. And let me tell the citizens something. You better say no to all of this. You better not go along with this. You better warn everybody. I mean, that's what makes me so mad about my detractors. Not that they're detracting me, but that I am desperately fighting as hard as I can to get everybody to warn everybody about the eugenics operation. And whoever runs it, whoever's at the top of it, they're doing it, man. And we got to warn people.
There is a long, long history in the United States, tragically, not the kind of history that you learn in college textbooks, about secret chemical exposure to which Americans were subjected. I'd like to read you just a few of them. In 1931, Dr. Cornelius Rhodes, under the auspices of the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Investigations, infected human subjects with cancer cells. They were not told about it. He later went on to establish the U.S. Army Biological Warfare Facility in Maryland, Utah, and Panama, and then was named to the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. While there, he began a series of radiation exposures, experiments on American soldiers and civilians in hospitals. In 1942, Chemical Warfare Services began mustard gas experiences on approximately 4,000 servicemen. The experiments continued until 1945 and made use of the Seventh-day Adventists who chose to become human guinea pigs rather than serve on duty. 1965, prisoners in a prison in Philadelphia were subjected to dioxin. Dioxin is so toxic, it is a byproduct of chlorine when it breaks down, whether it's in Clorox or in tampons, and a teaspoon could literally kill the entire planet. Dioxin is a carcinogen and it's part of Agent Orange that was suspected even before the military used it for Desert Storm. In 1996, the Department of Defense admits that Desert Storm exposure for all of the military they were exposed to chemical agents, including Agent Orange. So I have questions that have to be part of an urgently needed public discussion and outcry. When is this going to stop? Obviously, you don't know, and I would urge you, they're outside. There's a list of websites that you can go to, not just to Clifford Carnicom's, but this is the most, his website is the most well-documented one with lots of medical information. I've talked to over 100 doctors just in this past 6 months, naturopaths, MDs, all sorts of people in healthcare, and there we have staggering rates of upper respiratory and cardiovascular problems that we never used to have. There's a brand new emerging field, and that's called environmental cardiology, and they're not even dealing with the issues of weather modifications and chemtrails. I'd like to know, how are the real drought conditions by nature exacerbated by a constant spew of aerosols in the chemtrails? How much of global warming or climate change is actually caused by billions of tons of these aerosols that have been sprayed over us for the last 8 years without our permission? It's not just CO2 emissions that we have to deal with, but we have to deal with weather modification. How is weather modification by the military destabilizing our planet's natural weather? A controversial weather modification bill was just passed. Bush just signed it to the 109th Congress. There was no public discussion. These bills did not include any agricultural, water, EPA, or public representatives, and did not have any provisions for congressional, state, county, or public oversight of either expenditures, medical, and/or environmental consequences. In other words, we've really been guinea pigs for at least the last 8 years with literally every breath we take.
Anything a government does, they compartmentalize so most people who are involved in it don't even know. So there's a lot of layers. There are thousands. If you type in geoengineering, weather modification, if you type in aerosol atmosphere campaign, literally Department of Energy, every other major government, major universities, private corporations. So there's not one program going on. So a lot of it's publicly admitted, but it's all broken up and compartmentalized like a jigsaw puzzle that hadn't been put together yet. Okay. B, because so much of the programs are secret, it's admitted that the programs are going on, but the details are secret. We don't know exactly what they're doing. That's why it shouldn't be secret. Under U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B, that the government for research purposes, this is a UN treaty as well, can test chemicals, biologicals, radiologicals, or anything else they want on domestic populations. Governments just aren't allowed to do it to each other. That's U.S. Code Title 50, Chapter 32, subsection 1528, paragraph B, if you want to pull that up. So it says you're not allowed to do testing unless it's part of research. So that's why Holdren, 2 years ago when he first got in, the science czar, there's so much heat on this, he went ahead and came out and said, yeah, there is weather modification, geoengineering going on. If this was a dead planet, it'd be called terraforming. That's bringing a planet to life, but this is the opposite or something different. It's not really the opposite. It's manipulation of the current climate system on a planetary scale. And so because they're doing research, you know, they can, quote, keep it secret. It shouldn't be secret. There should be congressional hearings. This information should be brought out because we don't know if they're manipulating the weather and causing this currently. We just know they have weather manipulation programs going on. So is it inadvertent, or is this just a regular weather cycle? I mean, they've trained the ignorant mass that, oh my gosh, it wasn't that cold last winter and now it's real cold this winter. It's the end of the world. There's always cycles. And so, George, I don't know because we don't know. We